Alright everyone, and welcome back to another F124 Game Ideas video. This is part 4. Today we're going to be focusing on R&D and the HQ. If you missed any of the parts so far, then I'll try and remember to leave an I thing in the top right hand corner to the playlist of the series. And of course, if you've got any ideas of your own, then let me know in the comments below. First up, as suggested by IoT Racing, or adapted really by his suggestion, I want to bring it back the old R&D tree, because I agree with the tree. It's not really a tree, it's just a load of blocks in a line. It's dull. I can't really I like to plan the R&D upgrades, and it's difficult to do that when you've not got a tree to be able to visualize where you are. Okay, I need to do this upgrade. And I liked on the older trees that the departments were intertwined with each other. I think it was only on the durability and the engine side, but that unlocked something on very early, like F1 2017, I think it was. There was an unlock, so yeah, I don't know. Let me know. As I say, the departments themselves need an overhaul, and I can come back to that with the HQs, because obviously we've got to have the HQs linked with R&D. That is crucial. Number 2 is discounted R&D parts based on performance feedback. This was suggested. This was a idea that was suggested in the previous video as well, about feedbacking performance and helping out with setups and stuff. And I kind of think that, we occasionally get those offers of, I think it was on F1 22, where they offered you a discounted car part, R&D part. I think they definitely got rid of that for F1 23. I haven't seen it at all in F1 23. In F1 22, there was a department event that offered that discounted part. Now, obviously, based on the performance feedback where the team were going, it could be an email saying, we think based on the performance feedback you've been, that we should direct our resources into this bit, and then maybe give the discount on that. Because the problem is that, discount on that, because obviously you're giving performance feedback, so maybe cut down the time as well. That's the thing, cutting down the time it takes with discount on time as well as R&D points with that. And that way, I kind of feel like the discounts you get from career mode in practice, it's just too much. I think you're going to end up with parts that soon especially if you don't do durability department is the team that doesn't do a lot. You're going to leave them till last for sure. That means you're going to be purchasing some parts for no R&D points at some point. I have seen it in the game where people can purchase, and I think that's just a waste of, because I think it's slightly too easy. This way it's a bit more hard, and it's a bit more realistic, I think, to try and force you down a certain R&D path based on the feedback as well. And it helps, I suppose, it's takes away, because obviously it's already got that recommended R&D part upgrade. So that should take away that and then give him that. So it's a bit more realistic in that method as well. I'm not going to say it's going to be every practice session, because obviously you still got certain practice sessions as well. Again, there needs to be sort of new practice sessions really. Yes, I understand the race strategy and qualifying sim, but and a track acclimatization, those three are the main thing, but some of them are a bit bland, like tyre saving. I think that could be a run as part of that. Some of this, ERS saving, some of that could be involved in the race strategy. You've got those 5 laps. Most of us don't bother after we've done 3. It's a 5-lap program, that race strategy. Have a different scenario on each of the different laps, for example. Yeah, that's just I'm going to be open with practice programs, because obviously they have changed the UI of it, but they haven't really done much to add additional programs. But let me know what you think in the comments below, what other practice programs you want to see as well. Number 3, better R&D regulation changes. Some of them are a bit bland. I'm not going to lie. It's been not that great for years when it happens, and obviously it just resets as opposed to what I want it to do, which it's an idea I've had for many years now. Is you get a new, for that part that's being changed, you get a new tree for that department, be it aero, sashi, or wind tunnel, or how many other departments you want to have. But for the department that's being affected, change the regulations, and also it can only be part of the regulations that are changed. This is something that happened again previous F1 games that they removed, because now it's just the entire department gets reset, because it wasn't that great. But obviously we need, for this to work, for having heart of it, needs to have more R&D upgrades. You shouldn't be able to max out the car in 3 seasons. You should be getting to max out cars before to season 5, and that's with regulation resets potentially in between that, to reset part of those part or even a full department with a major. So having a major and a minor regulation change, because we have the R&D regulation changes. They change every year. There's always something new every year, but most of them are just minor that we don't really talk about it. Most of it's going to be similar to what we've got this year in 2024. But obviously there's going to be new designs of floor and everything, because obviously regulations stay static for longer the closer the grid tends to come together, obviously. Although we hope, because Max Verstappen is winning 85% Grand Prix this season. Number 4 is something that was only ever present in F1 2016, and that's saving R&D points for next season. So in F1 2016, I think when you got to Singapore, I can't even remember the 2016 calendar. I think Singapore was a lot later in the season, back in 2016, and I say think. I think it was around then, with about 3 or 4 rounds to go, you could have an option to stop investing and just save all the R&D points for next season, which into next season's car. Obviously, that would be going hand in hand with the regulation change, is saving the R&D points for those regulation changes as well. But that's just something to think about, having to save those, and that means obviously you're choosing then to stop developing on this year's car, which could be a choice that costs you points and potentially, if you get going back to the contracts, getting a bonus. If you're in driver career mode, if you choose to stop upgrading the car, that could cost you that could cost you a bonus if you don't achieve your finishing position. If you're in my team, obviously it can affect prize money you get through the Constructors' Championship as well. Number 5 and number 6, are two. Most of them aimed at my team, and those are designing it. First one is designing your own engine. Araver's done a cracking job again with his My Team career mode, where he's made his own engine in cooperation with Lamborghini. Fantastic series. If you haven't seen that yet, I recommend you go and check that out on his channel. The F1 2026, what he's calling the F1 2026 mod, because it is season 4 there. So design your own engine in My Team, and then pick your own sashi is number 6. And I also think the sashi should change with different engine suppliers, and that also, and I know there's a licensing issue, but the idea would be for the different teams to, for the customer teams to change engine suppliers, and again, have a little news article about this. Again, I've mentioned news articles before, but just linking to that would be such a cool thing to see. It's not, as I said with time and time again with the cutscenes, we don't want too many, because otherwise they'd be repetitive, but we don't want, well, at the moment we've got none, so Yeah, so those are 6 things with the R&D stuff. I'm now going to talk about the HQ, and I think it's time for different HQs. Like, F1 Manager has so many HQs, and it's split into different multiple categories. You know, you got like the H, you know, you got like the tour centre, stuff like that, and again that affects my team. In driver career mode, you might have to give out a tour. For example, you know, you've got those department events. Make sure that that's operated by the tour centre bit. You know, PR, you've got personal assistant and stuff like that. Obviously, in your driver career mode, you're going to have a separate little department that's just you, and obviously that's going to come out your theory should come out of your budget that you get given from contract costs. You know, because the money in driver career mode means very little. You only get to spend it on perks, doesn't really mean anything because they're pretty useless. It's actually better to not purchase the perks in my team because otherwise, in driver career mode, because they get too easy. But yes, having that little separate HQ for driver career mode means you manage that, and then obviously everything else is still managed by the team as it is now. You may still get, but you still get to see that because, you know, obviously you are using the HQ as a driver. Obviously, different HQs, the wind tunnel is again, and again you're going to have different departments potentially, like the aero, the sashi as well. Maybe in the engine, a test track has been mentioned before. You know, that definitely would link to R&D, and that would definitely be its own department. You know, monitoring and paying for that test track. So there are so many different ideas. There's a whole load of corporate side, there's the racing side, there's the technical side. You know, they need to make this more realistic. The 6 HQ departments are pretty basic. You don't get to see 2 of them in driver career mode anyway. Yeah, so needs a major overhaul because it hasn't been touched since F1 2020, and also more HQ upgrades. I don't want to see people maxing out the HQs by season 3. Absolutely not. It's far too easy to max out your HQ in the early game. You should be at least season 7, you know, the end game of the career mode, because otherwise, what's the point of playing the career mode longer term? If you want to get, you know, you've got to give people the carrot to keep playing. Otherwise, you know, what happened is you're going to get the same with F1 23, where half the player base the player base has been halved on this year's game. So yes, that is where I'm going to leave it for today's Game Idea episode. If you've got any ideas yourself, let me know in the comments below. I have seen all the comments, by the way, so fear not if your comment hasn't featured so far. It's because it's coming for a video later in the series. And the next episode is going to be on customization, which obviously is very crucial to my team, because obviously you've got the car, but also a driver career mode as well. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. See plenty more F1 related gameplay. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, enjoy your day, and goodbye.